Hi guys, it's Atomic Car Review team here again.
It's Igor and Larissa, and today we're gonna talk about fun car.
car.
What do you think about Jaguar? I think most of us think it's a car for old guys who smoke cigarettes, drink whiskey. It's kind of true, but this is not regular Jaguar. It's Jaguar with letter R. It's real Jaguar how it's supposed to be. It's fast and wild. Previous owner told me, you know why I love this car? Because you can drive 90 on highway, but police never put camera to check your speed, because nobody expects that Jaguar could drive 90 miles per hour. Why it's fun? I just tell you number of horsepower. It's 420 horsepower. I think that's it. BMW M5 for the same model year has only 400 horsepower. Audi S6 350. Only Mercedes was a little bit more powerful. It's 475 horsepower. But again, this car always was cheaper than any of them. I know that Jaguar is not the cheapest car to maintain, but some parts is crazy expensive. Brake rotors is expensive, but brake pads it's cheap. To be honest, I bought front brake pads just for $30. It's the same amount as I bought for Acura MDX or Toyota Camry or some other mid-size sedan or even Toyota Corolla. This car has pretty wide tires. It's 245/40/18 on the front and 275/35 on the back, which is pretty wide because you need a lot of traction to control this car on the road. Guys, I work for pretty good amount of years in tire industry, and I really do not understand people who buying car like this, even any car, and put Chinese tire on it. Yes, you can buy some Chinese tire from good manufacturer as Goodyear or maybe Continental who has manufacturing Chinese, but guys, Chinese brands is totally crap. But what I found out when I came in the United States, people more care about just design, and they put huge 22 size rims and put Chinese tires on this wheel. Guys, yeah, your car looks good, but traction is horrible and they wear much faster. For example, Michelin could wear for you 60,000 miles, but Chinese 20, 15, sure, it's top. Fat tires really increase your handling and traction during the summer times, but it's the same big headache during winter times. That's why I would say this car, even with the winter times, will be very bad for driving during the snow or ice. That's why for this car I would recommend to buy a separate set of the wheels and put on these wheels as thin as possible tires. I would say 215, 50, 18 will be the best, or at least 225, 45, 18. Okay, let's check this 2005 Jaguar S-Type underneath and we'll see what's going on. Car is dry, because compared to BMW I have before, BMW 54, it's a nightmare. Oil leaks is everywhere. It's the same I just recently have as a customer 550, leak is everywhere. This 8-cylinder engine is pretty good. I will show you right now only one spot. It's transmission line, but again, they're not leaking, they're just foggy. As you can see, there's only one oil leak which I found it, but again, it's not a leak, I would say it's just fog stuff, and it's from this rubber piece on the connection of transmission line. You have to be very careful with this car, because this car has low profile tires on 18-inch and even more modern model around 2006, 2007, 2008 they have even 19-inch rims. As you can see over here, one of the rims was already welded. This car is a little bit lower than regular Jaguar S-Type, and this is why you're supposed to be more careful, because everything covered by plastic underneath, which is increase your rust protection and reduce your noise. But as you can see over here, supposed to be also one piece of plastic which cover engine underneath, and I think previous owner lose it by the same reason, because car is pretty low, but we're gonna order it, but again, it's expensive. This piece of plastic which is cover engine over here, priced from dealer around $350. This car has 137,000 miles, and you see we replaced it already upper control arms, which is pretty cheap, just $47, because this part is the same as on the regular Jaguar S-Type. Oxygen sensor on this car is different story and separate story. We just replaced it and put brand new one over here, but because before we replace just one, and after this computer start to tell us that we need catalytic converter, which is also expensive parts. If you will find it on internet, cheapest one, it would cost you around $350. But then we decide to put another one because computer tell us about this. And today we just get check engine light, but we didn't check yet. Probably we have to replace catalytic converter. This car has 4.2 liter supercharger engine, and why I like it, because with the supercharger you have a lot of room to play with the power. You can increase your power if you're gonna add some intercooler, if you even put additional water pump for this car. This car has separate water pump for supercharger, and if you're gonna put, for example, more powerful water pump, you can increase your power. Additional water pump is another place with your headache for this car, because it's electrical and sometimes it stop work, and in this case you have light on your dashboard, restricted performance, which means that your transmission try to shift always earlier than it's supposed to be, and I would say from your 400 horsepower you feel like you have, I don't know, 150. Water pump for superchargers, if you're gonna buy it from Jaguar, is pretty expensive. It could cost more than $600. But what I would recommend it, and what other people do, they just start to rebuild it the same brand or from different brand water pump. For example, from Ford Mustang they have the same technology. Even you can use water pump from Toyota Prius, which costs just $30. Just need to give it this water pump, if you cannot do this by yourself, to some electric, and he put different connector, plug it in, and it will work the same, but for much less amount of money. Suspension on this car is also not a regular suspension. This car has suspension which could adapt to your driving styles, and you have a special button which is sports button next to your gear, which makes this shocks is more stronger and your handling is much better. This engine is pretty big. I would say it's big for this car because you need a lot of power, and whatever you want to do on the front, I would say you always need to replace your water reservoir, and it's really hard to reach anything because you see it's very tight, especially if you want to replace belts or some hoses. Most of the time you need to drain coolant system to replace everything which is on the front of this engine. Rest of the parts on the engine is very easy to access. For example, spark plugs, much easier than on most of the car with 8-cylinder. Air filter, only one on this car. On BMW and Mercedes you have to replace two of them. Transmission on Jaguar S-Type R is 6-speed automatic and built by ZF. I'm not a big fan ZF, but this one is one of the best what ZF ever built. It's really give you nice and smooth shifting, and for now, for 137 miles, I would say I don't have any complaint about transmission. It really works smooth. Another big difference between a European car and Japanese car or Asian car, it's the quality of metal. As you can see, these cars still have original exhaust system, and connections looks much better if you watch our previous review about 2006 Acura MDX. We still see over here nuts which hold it to your exhaust system, and everything looks much better. This car is older, is bigger mileage, but you see underneath European cars usually looks much better. One of the easiest things which usually people do who have cars who want to increase his horsepower, they put sports style air filter, which is, I would say, for this car is no reason. Don't waste your money on performance air filter. I would say the more effective and the easiest way to increase horsepower on this engine is replace your supercharger pulley for smaller diameter. But be patient. Sometimes, for example, as on this one, on the late models after 2005, they already put this pulley from manufacturer, and they already added this 20 horsepower, because in the base, for example, when this car just show up on the market, was just 420 horsepower, or sorry, 400 horsepower, and then after manufacturer puts this smaller pulley, it starts to be 420. And before order this pulley, check what kind of diameter you have. Sometimes, for example, as with my car, they already put this from manufacturer. I always want sports style exhaust system on the car, and this is why I like it Mercedes AMG or BMW M5, or even one of my favorite car which is with exhaust sound, it's Infiniti FX35. But this car, Jaguar S-Type, not the best options. Really sounds almost like a regular car. It's better, it has some sports note, but I would say I would expect little bit more louder and more with metal sound. This car sounds like more like, I would say, tractor. And if you really want to add some sports notes, usually people remove resonator, but in this case I would say it's too loud. It's just my opinion, but I think interior of this car really supposed to be black. I would say maybe even wood color is supposed to be different. Guys, it's a wood, it's real wood, that's why it has crack. Yeah, if you compare any other expensive car with real wood, they have crack, which is, I like how wood looks, but cracks, I don't like it. But you don't have a choice. If you have nice wood inside, it's gonna be cracked. A lot of electronic stuff in this car for this model year, I would say. You can adjust your steering wheel electronically. You have automatic windshield wipers. You have automatic headlights. All seats settings is electrical, but nobody can tell us that Jaguar's electronic is the best one. For example, headrest not work electronically, pedals sometimes stuck. But again, guys, I would say it's not even Jaguar. Sometimes people think it's Jaguar bad. Guys, any European car, or I would say any complicated car with a lot of electronics, maybe only Lexus and Acura is good with this, has problem with electronics. This, even I would say, if Mercedes would have this pedal adjusters with electronics, would be bad. The headliner on a Europe cars in general is bad quality, and Jaguar may be one of the worst of them. And fabric right now already detached from the ceiling, and I would say for earlier model of Jaguar S-Type it's even worse. This one is restyling model and they get a little bit better, but doesn't matter. You see, with my eyes I touched the ceiling. For myself, guys, it's really small amount of space on a back seat, but I feel the same in BMW 5 Series E39, and for me it's not really convenient. I know that front seat is all the way back, but doesn't matter. Real wheel drive cars usually have not much space on the back. Another expensive part for Jaguar S-Type, it's windshield wipers. For late models they move sprinkler from hood to your wipers, and that's increased price for windshield wipers. Each windshield wipers usually cost around $45, and usually you have to buy it from dealer. Climate control doesn't have his own fuse, and whatever is happened with climate control related stuff, as climate control valve, as AC compressor, or even additional water pump on this car, it's related to the same fuse. It's too much, I would say, for one fuse. Fuses here, and if something of this stuff is burned out, it's burned your climate control unit, which is expensive to repair, but we make additional video how to fix it, and I would say it's cheapest way on YouTube. Definitely check it out. Front strut for S-Type R also original. You can choose it only from dealers, I would say. It's Bilstein brand, but you can find them on some Amazon resources, or even I found the cheapest one on AutoZone website. And for example, on AutoZone you can find it around $350, but from dealer it could cost you even more than $700. I heard a lot of problem about water reservoir on this car, that sometimes it's cracked. But guys, to be honest, I don't know any European car where you cannot find this problem. I would say any European car has problem with the water reservoir. What I can tell you about trunk, it's just small, but I would say it's not small like on other German car or cars from Europe. It's the same small, because your wide tires on the back, your rear wheel drive eat a lot of space from your trunk. It's the same small tire any other BMW 5 Series or Mercedes C-Class. You will find with couple luggage and maybe some carry-on luggage, but not much. Another thing which I really like it in any Europe car, and never understand why Japanese or American brands never put this function on his car, that's a button on the trunk. You don't have to go inside the interior or use your key button. Just press the button, and anytime when you're next to the trunk, it's much easier. At the end of our review, I would like to tell you, buy or not this car. I would say definitely do not buy if you're on the market for sedan or SUV with $7,000 or maybe more, maybe a little bit less, because this car is very expensive to maintain, because a lot of parts from Jaguar are expensive if you cannot find something not original, or even more expensive, everything which is related to letter R. Brakes, brake calipers, stabilizers, shocks. If you're a fan of Jaguar brand, or even if you're a fan powerful real-wheel drive sedan, I would say it's maybe one of the best options, because price for this car is much cheaper than BMW M5. For example, this car in good condition could cost you around $7,000. M5 for the same year would cost around 15. The same price range for Mercedes AMG or Audi RS6. This is why I would say this car is really smart options if you want something powerful but don't want to spend a lot of money from the beginning. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time, and hopefully you like